God's chosen ones. Beloved chosen one, listen to me. This is not by chance. This is not a scroll you stumbled upon. This is divine interception. Heaven paused time, redirected your steps, and brought you right here. Why? Because you were marked. Not yesterday, not last year. Before time itself opened its eyes, you were selected, marked before you had breath, stamped before your bones formed. Heaven knew your name before the earth ever called it. You are not like the rest. You never were. Your existence is a prophecy. Your presence on this earth is not accidental. You are not a mistake, not a maybe, not a question mark. You are the answer, the solution, a divine strategy wrapped in flesh. God didn't just create you. He marked you. Out of billions, He put a seal upon you that hell itself cannot unmark. You were designed with orders. You were placed with purpose. You were positioned with authority. Why has your life been this hard? Why were you rejected, overlooked, misunderstood? Because hell saw it too. The mark, the light, the flame you didn't even know you carried. You think it's coincidence that the attacks started early, that confusion clung to you like smoke. No, you've been at war since birth, not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Chosen one, understand this. Before your first heartbreak, before the first tear that soaked your pillow, heaven had already spoken your assignment. The scroll was written. The blood of Jesus authenticated it, and the angels were commissioned to guard your becoming. The mark on you is not just identification, it is instruction. It tells darkness, do not touch without consequence. It tells angels, follow, assist, protect. You may feel ordinary, but you're carrying extraordinary. You may look broken, but you're holding holy blueprints. Your life is wrapped in layers of spiritual codes that the world cannot read, but the heavens can. You are a key, a breaker, a signal in this final hour. And now, the orders are being activated. This is not the season of delay anymore. Heaven has pressed go, and when heaven moves, everything aligns. That strange stirring in your spirit, that's the call. The tug in your chest, that's the activation. You've been waiting for a sign. This is it. Comment below right now with 777 as a prophetic act. That number isn't random. It symbolizes divine completion and the perfection of God's plan in your life. When you type it, you're not just typing, you are declaring, I am marked. I hear the call. I will rise. Chosen one. Share this with someone who has that same mark. Someone who has been in the shadows too long. Someone who was also born for this final hour. God is awakening an army, and this message is the trumpet. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Not because of a trend, but because the Spirit is flowing through every word. Every message is not content, it's confirmation. Every video is not opinion, it's obedience. Subscribe so you never miss another divine download. Like this video to push it into the path of someone else carrying hidden fire. Share it, because one share could awaken one more marked one. You have lived your entire life under surveillance, divine and demonic, because of what you carry, because of what you were born to break, because of what you will activate. The enemy has tried everything: distraction, delay, discouragement. But what he didn't realize is that all of it only trained you, hardened you, sharpened your discernment. You didn't fold. You endured. And now, it's your turn. God is not calling you to try, He is calling you to take. You've been asking for signs. You've been pleading for purpose. But you don't need more answers. You need more alignment. Step into what's already yours. Heaven has waited long enough. The angelic orders are being released, and they're waiting for your response. Will you obey? Will you rise? Let the doubters fall away. Let the mockers stay confused. You were marked. They weren't. Don't expect them to understand something that was never whispered to them. God whispered it to you when you were crying alone, when you almost gave up, when you didn't know how you'd survive another day. He said, "Not yet. You are not done. This is your confirmation. This is your call. Do not delay." Comment 777 if your spirit says yes. If your soul says now. If your whole being is shouting finally. Like, share, subscribe. Because this isn't a moment. This is a movement. The silence wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Every season, you thought God had forgotten you. He was actually forming you. You cried in the night, wondering why heaven wouldn't speak, why your prayers echoed back, hollow. But what you didn't know, chosen one, is that silence is God's most potent shaping tool. When He says nothing, it's because He's doing something deeper, hidden, eternal. You weren't just waiting, you were being watched. Every time you resisted temptation, heaven recorded it. Every time you stayed when others fled, the scrolls bore witness. You weren't delayed. You were being disciplined, shaped into someone who could withstand the weight of what's coming. A cheap calling doesn't require silence, but a marked one, a warrior in the end-time ranks. That kind of power demands solitude, refinement, fire. Remember when you felt overlooked? That wasn't rejection, it was protection. God hid you, not because you were unworthy, but because you were too valuable to be mishandled. He covered you in obscurity, so your anointing wouldn't be assassinated before it matured. He muted the applause of men so you could learn the rhythm of His voice. That silence, that was your training ground. You cried for platforms while He was building your posture. You asked for influence while He was giving you integrity. You wanted visibility, but God wanted vision. So He took you into the wilderness not to break you, but to remake you. Chosen one. Do you see it now? How strategic the silence was. While others were speaking loud but shallow, God was digging wells in you, deep ones. So when the shaking came, and it has, you wouldn't collapse. Your roots had already gone deep in the quiet place. This is why you never fit in. This is why people outgrew you. Or maybe you outgrew them. You started noticing that shallow things didn't satisfy. Gossip bored you. Surface-level faith irritated your spirit. You wanted depth. You wanted fire. And that desire, that was the whisper of your destiny breaking the surface. It was God saying, "You're not meant for small talk. You're meant for spiritual warfare." You tried to blend in, but the mark wouldn't let you. You walked into rooms and atmospheres shifted, not because of your clothes or charisma, but because of the fire inside you. You carry a presence that reveals what's hidden, and people sensed it. Some were drawn, others were threatened. But you never fully understood it. Not until now. You are dangerous to darkness, even when you're silent. Your restraint is warfare. Your silence is thunder in the spirit realm. Every time you held your tongue when they lied on you, heaven applauded. Every time you prayed instead of retaliating, your crown was forged a little tighter. The seasons of silence taught you discernment. You learned to hear God's voice in the wind, in the weeping, in the word. You learned that revelation doesn't always come with a microphone, but sometimes with a whisper in a midnight hour. You learned that faith isn't proven in crowds, it's proven in caves. That cave you were in, that job that dried up, that friend group that vanished, that was God's hand, not the enemy's. Don't mislabel divine stripping as demonic attack. What God removes, He replaces with better. What He subtracts, He often multiplies. You lost much, but you lost what couldn't go where you're going. This final hour needs clarity, and now you see. What you thought was abandonment was alignment. What felt like isolation was intercession from on high. The angelic orders were already hovering, waiting for the moment your soul would stop wrestling and start surrendering. You're not in a delay, you're in a deployment. The silence was never punishment. It was the breath between the chapters, the quiet right before the trumpet blast. And now, it's sounding. You are being summoned forward, not as who you were, but as who you've been becoming all along. You walk different now, not just because of pain, but because of preparation. You don't flinch like you used to. That's maturity. You don't run like you used to. That's formation. You don't question like before. That's faith. Chosen one. You are rising from the ashes of your silent seasons with thunder in your footsteps and fire in your eyes. You are the result of divine waiting. You are the product of unseen warfare. You have been refined in shadows to lead in light. This moment, it's not sudden, it's fulfillment. You're not stepping into something new. You're stepping into what was always yours. Chosen one. The air around you has changed. You can feel it, can't you? That weight pressing into your chest isn't heaviness. It's holy. It's the sound of divine orders descending. Angelic legions are moving into position, not just around you, but for you. The spirit realm is no longer still. Something has been activated. Listen closely. This is not poetic language. This is not religious rhetoric. This is a heavenly alert. Angelic orders have been released, and your name was on them. You, who thought no one noticed. You, who felt invisible. Heaven never lost sight of you. You were not overlooked. You were being observed. And now the signal has gone out. They know you're awake now. The enemy knows. The heavens know. The veil has thinned. And your spirit is sensing movement. The angel assigned to your lineage has stirred. The guardian set over your calling is sharpening his sword. Why? Because you're about to walk into places that hell has long tried to keep locked. This isn't imagination, it's divine impulse. That restlessness in your spirit, that is spiritual orders echoing in your bones. You were born for this. The timing is not coincidental, it is cosmic. You didn't stumble into this hour. You were escorted, marked, watched, and now activated. God is no longer whispering, He is commanding. The angels are not waiting, they are moving. And you, chosen one, are being drawn into divine alignment. It's why things are being shaken, people falling away, comfort being removed. That's not punishment, it's positioning. The weight you feel, that's not pressure, it's presence, holy presence. The angelic realm responds not to lip service, but to divine alignment. Heaven only backs what God assigns. And you were assigned before the foundations were even laid. There are angelic beings that have waited centuries to walk beside someone carrying what you carry. And now, the moment is here. They move because the call is now. They move because you finally said yes with your life, not just your lips. They move because destiny is not waiting anymore. Look around. The atmosphere has changed because the orders have shifted. You're no longer being tested, you're being positioned. When angelic orders are released, chains break that you didn't even know existed. Doors open, not because you knocked, but because heaven declared, let them in. You will start seeing things accelerate now. Divine connexion, sudden clarity, warfare in the spirit. It's not random, it's response. Response to your rising. Response to your surrender. Response to the moment you said, I'll go, even if I have to go alone, because of your obedience. The orders have activated. You don't have to beg for protection. It's already surrounding you. You don't have to ask for confirmation. It's coming in waves. You don't have to demand breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. Angels are not moved by fear. They're moved by faith. And yours, though tested, has been found pure, refined in fire, unshaken by delay. You didn't just endure, you qualified. Now the heavens thunder. Send the help. Assign the hosts. Protect the marked one and chosen one, your enemies. They sense the shift too. That's why opposition suddenly increased. That's why confusion suddenly flared. Because darkness knows that light is walking closer. They tried to sabotage you before the angels arrived. But they were too late. The orders went out. The seal was opened. And now, you are not just protected, you are partnered with the heavenly realm. Comment below 3 words that make hell tremble. I'm fully aligned. These are not just words. This is a covenant, a public declaration. When you type them, you echo, heaven's command. The marked one is awake. Let the hosts surround them. You carry royal DNA. This is not ego. This is legacy. You don't just walk, you advance. You don't just breathe, you prophesy. You don't just survive, you shift atmospheres. You are not asking for permission, you're walking in authority. The angels don't respond to title, they respond to truth. And the truth is, you were born for this final hour. You don't need man's confirmation when you carry heaven's commission. Say it again, I'm fully aligned. Let your soul hear it. Let hell tremble at it. Let angels move through it. This is more than a message. This is an activation point. You are not watching this by accident. This is a divine hand pulling you into purpose, into partnership, into power. Heaven's orders are not casual. They are eternal. They are irreversible. And they are written with your name on them. You are the disruption. The atmosphere bends when you walk in, though you often feel unseen. You weren't created to blend in. You were born to stand out, not in appearance, but in spirit. Chosen one. Do you know what happens when someone marked by heaven enters a space? The invisible realm trembles. Patterns break. Cycles stall. Unseen systems built to maintain bondage begin to malfunction. You are a divine interruption. Your light is not ornamental. It is confrontational. You don't shine to decorate darkness. You shine to dismantle it. This is why comfort has always evaded you. You weren't called to fit in because you were meant to flip the system. That system, whether in your family, your bloodline, your city, has always carried invisible shackles. Until you are the one who carries enough power to sever what's been passed down for generations. Do not minimize your presence. You were planted like a divine seed in the middle of dysfunction, to sprout deliverance. You walk into generational patterns not to repeat them, but to reform them. You show up with a smile, but what you're really carrying is a sledgehammer of light. And every time you choose obedience over compromise, you break something off the next generation. Others sense it, even if they can't articulate it. That resistance you felt from family, co-workers, people who barely know you, it wasn't personal. It was spiritual. Something in them recognized something in you. The system in them was threatened by the order inside you. You were sent as a breach, to break cycles, to stop what's always been from becoming what always will be. That anxiety in your bloodline. You're the interruption. That addiction, poverty, perversion, confusion. It was counting on you doing what everyone else did. But something in you refused. That refusal wasn't weakness. It was war. Chosen one. Do not underestimate what your obedience is doing. Every time you said no to what you could have indulged in, chains rattled in your family tree. Every time you forgave when bitterness would have been justified, old altars cracked. You are not just living, you are rewiring reality. This is why it's been so hard. You are not just carrying your story, you are carrying the turning point of your bloodline, the curse breaker, the pattern disruptor, the one who walked away so your children wouldn't have to crawl through the same fire. Your footsteps are louder in the spirit realm than you know. When God sent you, He didn't send a victim. He sent a weapon. You weren't just born, you were deployed. Every room you enter, the assignment isn't to survive, it's to shift. You may be quiet in the natural, but in the spirit, you are thundering. Every time you walk in alignment, demons that have occupied territories for decades lose their grip. And make no mistake, this is not accidental. You were born for such a time as this. Hell didn't target you early because you were weak. Hell targeted you early because you were marked. The enemy saw the future encoded in your DNA, saw the light that would awaken others, saw the influence that would not come from fame, but from fire. So it tried to snuff you out through trauma, shame, confusion, delay. But all it did was make you stronger. You've come through the fire and didn't even smell like smoke. You've walked through rejection and came out refined. And now, you don't walk like you used to. You carry something now. And what you carry can't be explained. It can only be discerned. You are not ordinary. You are the system breaker, the matrix disruptor, the holy insurgent. The proof that God still anoints the overlooked, still uses the broken, still raises up nobodies to shift nations. Do you feel it yet? That pressure wasn't just life, it was prophecy, pressing through the cracks of everything that tried to contain you. And now it's bursting through you. You will walk into rooms that feel cold and lifeless and watch as hope ignites because of your very presence. You will speak words that sound simple, but in the spirit, they'll detonate chains. You will make choices that confuse people because they don't understand obedience that's tethered to divine assignment. You weren't called to explain. You were called to execute. Chosen one. Your life is not a reaction. It is a response to the prayers of your ancestors, the cries of the voiceless, the need of a broken world. You are the answer God formed in secret, and the world has no idea what just entered the battlefield. This is your crowning hour. Heaven is not waiting anymore. The time for hiding is over. The time for delay has expired. There is a crown descending, and it's looking for the head that stayed low in obedience, not the one that rose high in pride. and chosen one. It's coming for you. You didn't chase platforms. You chased purity. You didn't beg for crowns, you bore your cross. When others were performing for attention, you were in the quiet place, wrestling with God, contending for purpose. While others entertained the crowd, you endured the crushing. And now the oil is ready. Now the crown fits. This isn't just favor, it's fulfillment. The crown descending now isn't ornamental, it's official. It's not symbolic, it's supernatural. Heaven is not giving out rewards for performance. It's placing authority on those who stayed obedient through the testing. And you, chosen one, have been proven in the fire. This crown will not elevate ego, it will expose light. This crown doesn't sparkle, it summons. When it's placed on you, it calls angels into formation. It silences the mouths of mockers. It opens spiritual gates, long sealed shut. You don't just wear it, you carry the assignment that comes with it. And make no mistake, this hour is final. It's not one of many, it's the one that heaven has waited on, the one the prophets saw in glimpses, the one where the marked ones rise, take their place, and do what generations before them only dreamed of. You are not late to this hour. You are right on time. You are part of heaven's final blueprint. You thought you were overlooked, but heaven was reserving you. You thought you were delayed, but God was developing you. Now, while others are disqualifying themselves through compromise, your crown is descending. This is not a generic word. This is a divine signal. It's confirmation for the one who has endured long, who has loved when it hurt, who has obeyed when it cost everything. You're not just about to be crowned, you're about to be commissioned, because this crown comes with weight. It comes with authority. It comes with doors that don't require keys, only obedience. It comes with access that can't be manipulated, only walked into by those who were marked. The heavens are watching. Angels are aligning. The scrolls are unrolling. The crown is descending. If this word struck your spirit like lightning, like confirmation you've cried for in secret, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Share it with someone whose crown is also hovering. Someone who has been in hiding too long. Someone who almost gave up right before heaven said, "Now." Like this post, if something deep in you whispered, "This is for me." Because when you like and engage, it pushes the oil further. It puts the sound of heaven's call in front of someone else's storm. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Subscribe not just to the content, but to the movement, because this is not just words, it's warfare. And there's more coming. What you're hearing now is just the beginning. The activation has started, but the instruction will follow. Make sure you're part of what heaven is building word by word, crown by crown, moment by moment. Heaven is crowning the quiet ones, the surrendered ones, the faithful few who didn't let bitterness take root when betrayal came, the ones who didn't trade their birthright for applause, the ones who still fear God when no one is watching. And you are one of them. So don't hold back now. Don't second-guess the oil that's been verified in silence. Don't downplay the power that's about to clothe you in new garments. You've mourned long enough. You've waited long enough. You've bled long enough. And now it's time to reign. You thought they were just dreams, but they were never just imagination. Chosen one. What stirred in your sleep was not fantasy, it was blueprint. Heaven has been speaking to you in the quiet of night, sketching divine instructions across the canvas of your mind. Every strange vision, Every symbolic whisper in your rest, it wasn't random. It was revelation. Prophetic dreams are the language of the marked ones. When God has sealed you for a final hour mission, He doesn't just talk in daylight, He instructs in darkness. That moment you woke up, gasping, that wasn't anxiety. That was spiritual code entering your spirit. That repeated number, that same face, that city you've never been to, they were all part of your scroll. Some of you have had these dreams since you were a child. Others saw them increase just as warfare intensified. That's not coincidence. That's divine sequence. As your calling draws nearer, heaven pulls back more layers. The closer you get to alignment, the clearer the instructions become. You've seen yourself casting out darkness, standing on mountains, breaking chains with a word. You've dreamt of floods, fires, falling stars. These are not nightmares, they are notices. God has been warning, preparing, commissioning you through symbolic layers, because He knows you're ready now to interpret what once confused you. This is why the enemy tried to invade your sleep, why you went through seasons of night terrors, sleep paralysis, or constant fatigue. He tried to interrupt the downloads. He knew if you caught even one of those blueprints with clarity, you would become a walking strategy. Chosen one. You don't need another opinion. You need obedience to what God has already shown you. That location you keep dreaming of, go pray into it. That face that appears when you ask for confirmation, intercede for them. That battle scene, you wake up from prepare, because the warfare isn't coming. It's here. Don't dismiss what heaven has revealed just because earth can't comprehend it. You are being handed classified instruction, tailored to the exact moment of history you were born for. Not everyone dreams like this. Not everyone hears like this. But you do, because you're marked. Write down your dreams. Study them. Pray over them. There are layers in them that your waking mind couldn't have produced. Some dreams are warnings. Others are maps. A few are promises wrapped in parables. But all of them are pieces of your assignment. And understand this. The weight of what you're being shown is not just for inspiration, it's for intercession. Heaven doesn't give revelation for entertainment. It gives it for enforcement. God is trusting you with previews so you can prepare for impact. Now, to those who've been deeply moved, who found answers in this stream of divine reminders, know this: carrying this message takes more than time. It takes stewardship, obedience to build, write, record, and release without hesitation. Across days and nights, when no one sees the labor behind the words. If this has blessed you, if your spirit has felt confirmation in these messages, consider supporting the mission. Not from pressure, but from alignment. Think of it as sowing into what's already awakened, something inside of you. There's no demand, only the opportunity to partner. Whether you've been here since the first message or today is your divine interception. Your support, prayerful, financial, or in simple words, makes a difference. It allows more of these moments to be born. It sustains the flame that ignites marked ones like you across the world. No offering is too small. What matters is the spirit it's sown in. And if this word is a seed that grew something in you today, feel free to water it. But hear me clearly. You don't have to give to receive. This was given freely and will continue to be, because heaven funds its own. But if you feel led to give, let it be not from pressure, but from a place of fire and faith. Now rise, chosen one. Rise with clarity. Your dreams are not strange, they are sacred. You were chosen by fire, not by popularity. There was no audience when God anointed you. No cameras, no confetti, only the crushing, only the pressing, only the fire that licked every part of your life until all that was left was obedience. Chosen one. Hear me, you didn't rise because people chose you. You rose because you survived what should have destroyed you. Your anointing did not come in the comfort of success. It came in the loneliness of obedience. While others were being celebrated, you were being separated. You weren't the first pick. You weren't even the visible one. But in heaven's eyes, you were always the only one for this assignment. Because God doesn't pick the popular, He picks the prepared. And the preparation came in fire. The kind of fire that isolates you. The kind that strips you of everything you leaned on. The kind that removes false friends, shallow praise, and easy faith. You lost more than most, but you gained more than most could carry. Not because you were better, but because you said yes when everything in you wanted to say no. You didn't say yes to applause. You said yes to fire. Many say yes to calling, but they want to skip the crushing. But your life didn't allow for shortcuts. The furnace found you early, and while others built platforms, God was building your posture. You learned to bow before you ever thought about rising. You learned to pray when you had no words left. You learned to fight when you were too tired to stand. This is what it means to be chosen by fire. It means you wear scars where others wear titles. It means your greatest weapon isn't your voice, it's your endurance. You didn't get here because it was easy. You got here because you refused to die in the middle of your becoming. You were forged in silence, trained in tears, anointed in agony. And that's why you walk differently now. You see through things. You hear differently. You discern motives before words are even spoken. Because fire opens the eyes of the spirit in ways comfort never can. You carry a presence that doesn't need an introduction. Hell knows you. Heaven recognizes you. And earth is beginning to notice. People wonder how you pray like you do. How you stay calm in storms that would sink others. It's because you've been through the fire. You don't panic when the heat rises. You remember. You remember who stood with you in the flames. Who whispered when you thought you'd break. Who marked you not with oil from man, but with fire from heaven. That mark, it's invisible to most, but undeniable in the spirit realm. That's why warfare followed you. Why heaviness tried to choke you. Why relationships shattered and doors slammed shut. Because the enemy saw it. That fire, that purity, that tenacity. Chosen one, don't despise the road that broke you. Don't be ashamed of the things you've survived. Every tear, every rejection, every betrayal, it wasn't wasted. It was witnessed, and heaven counted it all. You earned nothing, but you endured everything. And now, the fire has made you trustworthy. You can be trusted with power because you didn't chase it. You can be trusted with people because you were faithful when you had none. You can be trusted with purpose because you didn't abort your process. You don't just carry words, you carry weight. And the fire, it hasn't stopped, but now you understand it. It's not punishment, it's promotion. God doesn't place crowns on untested heads, and you've been tested in ways only the chosen understand. So when people see you rise and wonder why, let them wonder. They didn't see the nights you screamed into a pillow, begging God to take the calling back. They didn't see you fast when others feasted. They didn't watch you give when you had nothing left to give. But heaven saw. Heaven recorded it. And now heaven is responding. This is why you're walking into new rooms, with no credentials but favor. Why doors open without knocking? Because the fire did something man could never do. It qualified you. Not everyone will understand your obedience. Not everyone will celebrate your assignment. But you didn't come for applause. You came with an assignment, one that cannot be bought, faked, or imitated. You were not approved by man. You were authenticated by fire. You carry kingdom keys, not physical, not ornamental spiritual. You don't always see them, but every time you walk in alignment, the invisible realm responds. You were not sent here to beg for access. You were sent to unlock dimensions, to open spiritual gates that have been rusted shut for generations. Chosen one. The authority you walk in is not from titles, it's from the throne. The keys you carry were forged in prayer, in pressure, in pain. They were entrusted to you because God knew you would not trade them for comfort. You didn't stumble into this access. You were granted it. The battles you fought were not just for survival, they were for possession. Every trial handed you a key. Every rejection gave you access. Every betrayal turned the lock on a new realm. You open things with your obedience. You shut things down with your silence. The way you move in the spirit causes things to shift in the natural. You've walked into places that should have crushed you, but instead, you shifted them. Not because of charisma, but because of keys. And not just for you. These keys are for others too. You were never meant to hold them selfishly. You were sent as a gate opener, a spiritual locksmith for a generation trapped behind invisible barriers. There are people chained who will only be free because you walked in obedience, because you carried what they couldn't, because you said yes when others ran. You wonder why your warfare has been so specific, so intense. It's because you don't just walk through doors, you own the keys that open them for others. You were given authority in places that others were only given access. You don't need permission to do what God already authorized, and the enemy knows it. That's why fear tried to silence you. Why self-doubt attached itself to your mind. Because if you ever truly grasped what you carried, hell wouldn't have a chance. Keys don't just open things, they symbolize rank. You don't hand keys to strangers. You give them to trusted ones, and chosen one. God trusted you with the access to shift atmospheres, cancel curses, and loose generations into freedom. You've been walking around wondering when the door will open. But what if God is waiting on you to realize you are the opener? That door isn't locked. It's waiting on a voice that knows who it is. It's waiting on you. You carry keys to healing, to breakthrough, to restoration, not because you read about it, but because you lived through it. The same area where you were attacked. That's the area where you hold authority. The same pit that tried to bury you. That's the place where you now stand with resurrection keys. So step boldly. Speak freely. Declare what you've been authorized to unlock. You don't need to figure everything out. Just walk in the truth you know. Walk in the fire that forged you. Walk in the keys that were placed in your hand when you thought God was silent. Because he wasn't. He was handing you authority. In the middle of the fire, in the middle of the silence, in the middle of the breaking, and now, you're not who you were. You don't move the same. You don't even pray the same. Because your spirit knows you carry something. Chosen one. If this word finds you where your spirit already was, comment 999 below. Not just as a number, but as a declaration. I'm ready to unlock what I was born to carry. You've tried to shrink to fit old rooms. You've tried to silence yourself around people who couldn't understand your access. But no more. You weren't meant to fit in. You were meant to open up. You were meant to let others out. And now, everything you've endured begins to make sense. You carry keys. Kingdom ones. Darkness took notice early, before you ever spoke a word of faith, before you ever realized you were chosen. The forces of hell were already alerted to your existence. They didn't wait until you were grown. They marked you when you were still innocent, when you couldn't defend yourself. Because the enemy always targets what heaven treasures. The spiritual attacks you experienced in childhood weren't random. The confusion, the fear, the rejection, it wasn't normal. It was calculated. Darkness saw the light in you before you ever recognized it yourself. It knew that if you ever awakened, if you ever aligned, if you ever stood up fully in the authority you carry, strongholds would collapse. That's why trauma came for you so early. Why betrayal pierced your heart before you even knew how to put words to the pain. Why depression tried to bury you under silence. The enemy tried to smother the voice that would one day break chains, tried to shatter the spirit that would one day call others out of bondage. There's a reason the warfare has always been so personal. Because your destiny is generational. You don't just carry a calling, you carry a consequence to darkness. You aren't just a believer, you are a breach in the enemy's camp. Your presence on earth is proof that hell's plans can be interrupted by heaven's authority. Look at your life. Chosen one. How many times should you have died? How many near misses? Breakdowns. Mental spirals. Destructive temptations. And yet you survived. Not just barely. You've emerged with vision, with a sharpness in your discernment, with eyes that see through facades. Because you didn't just survive, you were trained through the very things meant to destroy you. Every time you broke free from something that tried to kill your spirit, you advanced in the spirit realm. Every time you forgave instead of holding a grudge, heaven extended your reach. The enemy didn't understand how you could keep getting up. But that's because he underestimated who you really are. You weren't just fighting for yourself. You were fighting for every soul connected to your yes. Every future generation that will walk in freedom because you didn't fold. You don't carry small weight. Your obedience affects atmospheres. Your survival is offensive warfare. You've probably noticed by now, the closer you get to alignment, the more intense the resistance becomes. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. Hell doesn't waste resources on people going nowhere. But the chosen, the ones marked by God and tested by fire, they become a living threat. You are not under attack because of your past. You're under attack because of your future. Because you are nearing gates that only you have the key to. You are drawing close to divine appointments that will shift more than your own story. They'll shift others. That's why you feel the pressure. That's why sleep has been elusive. That's why old patterns tried to resurface. Because darkness is trying to offer you a counterfeit path before you step into what's truly yours. Don't take the bait. Don't go backward. You are too close. Your clarity is sharpening. Your authority is maturing. Your spirit knows something is shifting, even when your mind can't fully articulate it. You have become the nightmare darkness feared you would grow into. You were once unsure. Now you're unshakable. You were once afraid. Now you are armored. Not because of pride, but because of pain that became power. And when you walk now, you walk with legacy. The kind that ripples through bloodlines. You carry redemption in your shadow. hope in your wake, and deliverance in your hands. The battle has always been bigger than you, but now, so is your understanding. You were never weak, you were just awakening. And now that you see what's really going on, you'll never look at your battles the same. Darkness took notice early, but it didn't stop you. It failed. Others will fall away. It's part of the process. Chosen one. Not everyone who started with you will finish with you. Not everyone who clapped for your beginnings can handle the weight of your becoming. This is the price of the crown. This is the tension of the truly called. The people you thought would walk with you forever, they weren't built for where you're going. Some were scaffolding, not foundation. Temporary support for a season, not permanent pillars. And when the building reaches a certain height, the scaffolding must come down. You've tried to hold on to everyone. You've tried to explain your process. Include them in your transformation. But they don't understand, and it's not your job to make them. Your elevation will expose their hidden motives. Your obedience will offend their stagnancy. You rising will feel like rejection to those who expected you to stay small. Let them fall away. With grace, not bitterness. With blessing, not retaliation. Because if they were truly aligned, your growth wouldn't threaten them, it would inspire them. But when jealousy masks itself as concern, when loyalty disguises limitation, it becomes a weight you're not meant to carry into the next dimension. Chosen one. The oil on your life requires separation. Even Jesus had a Judas. Even David had to walk alone before the throne. There is no biblical greatness without divine pruning, no ascension without isolation, no glory without grief. But hear this, your grief is not wasted. Your heartbreak is not in vain. The people who left created the space for the right ones to enter. The doors that closed set the stage for divine openings. And what you lost in numbers, God is replacing in alignment. You're not alone. You're just aligned, and there's a big difference. You're stepping into a season where quality trumps quantity, where covenant replaces crowd, where discernment will protect you more than loyalty ever did. You've been entrusted with too much to keep shrinking for those who refuse to grow. And now, because you let go of what God didn't author, heaven is about to bring you what you didn't even know you needed. People who see your purpose without competing with it. People who pray for you without pretending. People who sharpen you, not drain you. But that next circle requires you to release the old one. You can't carry divine strategy while babysitting expired connections. Let them walk. Let them misunderstand you. Let them label you. You're not assigned to change their mind. You're assigned to fulfill your mission. And when they see you walk in the fulfillment of what they mocked, they'll realize it was never pride. It was purpose. It was never ego. It was obedience. And the same God who called you will vindicate you. Chosen one. This is a holy separation. A divine detachment. It hurts, but it heals. It wounds, but it works. You are being pruned for power. And those who were never rooted in your assignment can't survive this growth. Take a breath. Wipe the tears. Square your shoulders. And keep walking. Because what's ahead is worth everything that's falling away. If this word is burning in your spirit, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the rest of what heaven is unveiling. These aren't just videos. These are verifications. These aren't just messages. They are marching orders for the marked ones. And if your spirit says, "This was for me," then comment below. I'm still going. Simple, clear, prophetic. Because no matter who left, No matter what you lost, you are still going. Heaven's strategy includes you. You, chosen one, not as an afterthought, not as a filler, but as a vital, irreplaceable component of a divine plan that predates time itself. Your existence was carved into eternity long before your birth. Your role, it is not optional. It is essential. You were not simply added to the story. You are a page upon which entire battles will be won or lost. When God designed this final hour, He placed your name in the battle plan. He calculated your weaknesses, your wounds, your history, and He still chose you. Not in spite of those things, but because of them. The plan was never perfect without you. It required your unique blend of pain and purpose, your scars turned strategies, your voice that has been trained by silence and suffering. What you thought disqualified you actually defines your authority. Heaven doesn't use the flawless. It uses the faithful, and that's what you've been. Even when you felt forgotten, even when it looked like nothing was happening, even when doors stayed shut, and your prayers returned unanswered. Heaven saw, heaven marked it, and heaven is now responding. You may not feel ready, but readiness isn't required. Obedience is. Strategy in the kingdom rarely looks like logic on earth. Gideon was outnumbered. Moses stuttered. David was overlooked. Mary was young. And you've been prepared in secret to carry a piece of God's strategy that no one else can fulfill. You've wondered why you couldn't quit, why the fire kept coming, why the warfare wouldn't let up. It's because you are not optional. You are strategic. The war intensified not because you were weak, but because you were moving into position. Heaven's plans are never made without redundancy, except when it comes to the marked ones. There is no plan B for you. You are plan A. You were heaven's solution before the problem ever surfaced. Your very being is a prophetic answer, walking the earth. You've spent time asking God to show you the next step, when all along you were the next step. You've prayed for a move of God, not realizing you are that move. When you walk in alignment, things shift. When you open your mouth, atmospheres change. When you pray, the ground trembles under divine weight. This is not about arrogance. This is about assignment. You weren't chosen to compete. You were chosen to complete what others could only begin. There are regions tied to your rising. There are bloodlines waiting for your obedience. There are chains that will only break when you say yes with your life. God didn't ask for volunteers. He selected soldiers, and you were among them. When heaven held its final council for this generation, your name was spoken, not with hesitation, but with authority, not as a maybe, but as a must. You've often felt insignificant, but only because you've been measuring yourself with earthly standards. The kingdom doesn't count, like it measures legacy, and the echo of your obedience will ripple through decades. You are not late. You are not behind. You are on time for a timeline that heaven alone controls. Every delay has been divine. Every detour was disguised direction. Every closed door was God's hand rerouting you to the right gate, one that only you could unlock. You've been asking, why me? Heaven's been responding, because we need you. You are not replaceable. You are not invisible. You are not one of many. You are one of His, crafted intentionally, placed precisely, and activated prophetically. And now, the strategy is unfolding. The clock is ticking. The final pieces are being put in place, and you, beloved chosen one, are walking into your why. You were marked for the midnight rescue. This is not symbolic, it is a spiritual assignment, etched into your spirit before you ever took your first breath. When others sleep, you awaken. When others run from the fire, you walk into it. When others close their eyes to the cries of the broken, you hear them. Because you weren't called to blend into the crowd, you were commissioned for the chaos. Chosen one. Midnight is not a time, it is a realm, a condition, a spiritual state where people lose direction, lose hope, lose identity. And while others are searching for comfort, you were built for confrontation. You carry a light that activates when the world goes dark. You are not afraid of the deep, because heaven forged you in secret places for this very moment. You've always felt it, haven't you? That strange weight in your chest when you pass by someone hurting, that burden that falls on your spirit when others are laughing and moving on. You carry the pain of people you've never met. You weep for things others ignore. That's not weakness. That's wiring. That's assignment. Midnight has always stirred something in you. You've found yourself praying in the late hours when everyone else is asleep. You've heard whispers in the silence. You've wrestled with dreams that weren't random, but revelation. God was training you, downloading instructions, baptizing you in a type of compassion that can't be taught. It has to be burned into you. You didn't ask for this. You never went looking for spiritual weight, but it found you anyway, because heaven knew you'd carry it, knew you wouldn't quit, knew you wouldn't look the other way. You were marked for the midnight hour, not just to survive it, but to rescue others out of it. This is why the warfare you faced has always been so intense, so strange, so personal. It wasn't just about you, it was about who you're called to pull out. The enemy didn't just want your mind, he wanted your mission. Because if he could paralyze you, then the ones you're called to reach would remain trapped. But you didn't break. You didn't stop. Even when you were limping, you still moved. Even when your heart was shattered, you still prayed. Even when your mind was clouded, your spirit stayed awake. And that's why you're dangerous now. There are some people who only exist today because your spirit interceded when they couldn't pray for themselves. There are some families still standing because you said no to the curse that everyone else accepted. You are a spiritual interrupter, a barrier breaker, a midnight responder. Your presence is a threat in places where others bring peace. You don't comfort demons, you confront them. You don't tolerate strongholds, you tear them down. This is why your life doesn't look like anyone else's. Because your assignment doesn't look like anyone else's. You're not called to rescue people with empty encouragements. You're called to break open cages with authority. Your words won't always be soft, but they will always be sharp. Because they were forged for freedom, not approval. This is why you feel out of place in shallow conversations. Why you feel agitated in lukewarm atmospheres. Because your spirit is tuned to urgency. You weren't born to float. You were born to fight. You don't pray to pass time. You pray to shift timelines. And heaven backs your voice. Because heaven branded your spirit. You've been misunderstood, labeled intense, even too much. But that's what happens when you're living at midnight in a world stuck at noon. They don't see what you see. They don't hear the cries you hear. But that doesn't mean you're off. It means you're on time. And the time is now. The ones you were called to rescue, they're waiting. Some are near. Others still hidden. But they're coming. And they'll recognize your light not because it's bright, but because it's familiar. Because it's the same light that visited them in their darkest hour. The same presence that lingered when they almost gave up. You carry more than words. You carry answers. And heaven is about to send you directly into the places most avoid. Not for fame, not for applause, but for rescue. You were marked for this, formed for this, assigned for this. Midnight has arrived. And now, so have you. There is no plan B. You were never a backup option, never a secondary thought. Heaven has no replacements for what you carry. You are not one of many, you are one of one. This calling was written for your hands, your voice, your journey. And if you do not rise, destinies remain locked. Chains remain unbroken. Prayers go unanswered. This is not to burden you, it is to awaken you. God has already scanned eternity. He already measured every possibility, and He still chose you, not just because you're available, but because you're assigned, and that assignment does not transfer. If you decline, the cost isn't just your discomfort, it's the delay of divine rescue for someone else. You've asked, what if I'm not enough? But that question assumes this was about your strength. It never was. Heaven's plan didn't require your perfection. It required your participation. You keep waiting for confirmation. But the very breath in your lungs is the confirmation. God placed eternity inside you, so even when you tried to walk away, your soul still burned. Even when you said, I'm done, something holy whispered, you're not. You've outlived storms, outlasted warfare, and you're still here because your yes is still needed. This generation needs your obedience, not your eloquency, not your charisma, just your obedience. Because somewhere in this tangled web of brokenness and bondage, there are people waiting, and their release is tied to your rise. If you don't step into your assignment, entire regions remain spiritually cold. If you don't speak, silence fills places where deliverance was meant to echo. If you don't say yes, then heaven's strategy stalls, not because God is weak, but because God partnered with people. This is the danger of compromise. It cancels purpose quietly. Not all disobedience is loud. Some of it wears the disguise of delay, of maybe later, of when I'm ready. But, chosen one, delay is disobedience when time is critical. And this is critical. You don't need to feel qualified. You were called, and calling always precedes clarity. Your steps are ordered, even when they feel unstable. Your obedience is precious, even when it's trembling. God honors the ones who walk, even with wounds. You keep thinking someone else will do it. Someone more polished, someone more trained. But you were never called to compete. You were called to complete the part of the plan only you can fulfill. No one else has your fire. No one else carries your wounds turned wisdom. No one else has your scars, your softness, your story. The idea that your life doesn't matter is a lie crafted in hell. If that were true, the enemy wouldn't have fought you so hard to begin with. But he knows. He knows what will happen if you ever truly say, whatever it takes. If you ever fully surrender, fully align, fully believe what heaven already declared about you. There is no plan B, because heaven never needed one. God doesn't hedge his bets. He places all of heaven's weight behind those he marks, and he marked you. That mark doesn't fade. That call doesn't expire, and that purpose won't rest until it is fulfilled. So this is the moment, not for fear, not for questions, but for resolve, the kind that says, if no one else goes, I will. The kind that breaks off delay, silence, shame. The kind that gets up again, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Chosen one, this is not a trial run. This is the real thing. This is eternity calling. This is destiny waiting. There is no plan B, only you. This battle requires total surrender, not partial, not convenient, not when it feels right. Chosen one, the war you are in cannot be won with half obedience. The kind of authority you are called to carry only flows through total alignment. Heaven is not looking for performers. It is searching for the fully yielded. You have already seen what partial surrender brings. Delay, confusion, exhaustion. You've tasted the bitterness of compromise. You've lived through the war between your call and your comfort. And now, God is drawing the line. No more in between. No more almost. This moment demands a full yes. You cannot walk in full power with a divided heart. You cannot expect kingdom fruit while keeping secret covenants with the world. There is a reason your peace has felt incomplete. A reason your fire flickers when it should roar. It's not because you lack calling. It's because heaven is asking for all of you. God is not cruel. He is clear. The mantle he placed on you was never meant to sit beside idols. The anointing he entrusted to you is not designed to work when your loyalty is split. This battle you're in, it's not just over your future, it's over your full surrender. Because once you surrender completely, the enemy loses all leverage. This is the hour of decision. The place where half-hearted yeses fall away. The realm where God either gets all of you or none of you. And not because he's petty, but because this level of warfare requires warriors who don't flinch, who don't fold, who don't hesitate when he speaks. Chosen one, your authority will only rise to the level of your obedience. You keep asking for more, but more comes through emptying, not grasping. The most dangerous version of you is not the one with the most resources. It's the one with the least resistance to God. You have outgrown surface-level faith. You know too much now. You've seen too much. The veil has lifted, and the time for hesitation has expired. Yes, it costs everything. Yes, it may isolate you. Yes, it will expose the idols you didn't know you were still clinging to. But on the other side of that surrender is access, is clarity, is weight. Because God doesn't trust everyone with influence. He doesn't release power where purity is optional. And he will not pour new wine into an old wineskin. This is the stripping, the refining, the final call before full commissioning. Let your soul say yes again. A deeper yes. A dangerous yes. The kind that makes heaven move and hell panic. The kind that makes angels respond before you even speak. The kind of yes that says, even if I have to walk alone, I will walk surrendered. No more delays. No more second chances at obedience. This is the moment. If this word is confirming what God's already been whispering to you, in private comment below right now, I surrender all. Let that be your public declaration. Let heaven record it. Let darkness be reminded. You're not for sale. You're not for compromise. You're for God alone. And if your heart is beating fast, your spirit stirring, don't walk away without subscribing, not to a channel, but to a flow of divine clarity that is being released here continuously. What's coming next is only for the fully aligned. You'll want to be part of it. You were born for this, but you must surrender for it. This battle requires total surrender, not partial, not convenient, not when it feels right. Chosen one, the war you are in cannot be won with half obedience. The kind of authority you are called to carry only flows through total alignment. Heaven is not looking for performers. It is searching for the fully yielded. You have already seen what partial surrender brings. Delay, confusion, exhaustion. You've tasted the bitterness of compromise. You've lived through the war between your call and your comfort. And now, God is drawing the line. No more in between. No more almost. This moment demands a full yes. You cannot walk in full power with a divided heart. You cannot expect kingdom fruit while keeping secret covenants with the world. There is a reason your peace has felt incomplete. A reason your fire flickers when it should roar. It's not because you lack calling. It's because heaven is asking for all of you. God is not cruel. He is clear. The mantle he placed on you was never meant to sit beside idols. The anointing he entrusted to you is not designed to work when your loyalty is split. This battle you're in, it's not just over your future, it's over your full surrender. Because once you surrender completely, the enemy loses all leverage. This is the hour of decision, the place where half-hearted yeses fall away, the realm where God either gets all of you or none of you. And not because he's petty, but because this level of warfare requires warriors who don't flinch, who don't fold, who don't hesitate when he speaks. Chosen one, your authority will only rise to the level of your obedience. You keep asking for more, but more comes through emptying, not grasping. The most dangerous version of you is not the one with the most resources, it's the one with the least resistance to God. You have outgrown surface-level faith. You know too much now. You've seen too much. The veil has lifted, and the time for hesitation has expired. Yes, it costs everything. Yes, it may isolate you. Yes, it will expose the idols you didn't know you were still clinging to. But on the other side of that surrender is access, is clarity, is weight, because God doesn't trust everyone with influence. He doesn't release power where purity is optional, and he will not pour new wine into an old wineskin. This is the stripping, the refining, the final call before full commissioning. Let your soul say yes again. A deeper yes, a dangerous yes, the kind that makes heaven move and hell panic. The kind that makes angels respond before you even speak. The kind of yes that says, even if I have to walk alone, I will walk surrendered. No more delays. No more second chances at obedience. This is the moment. If this word is confirming what God's already been whispering to you, in private comment below right now, I surrender all. Let that be your public declaration. Let heaven record it. Let darkness be reminded. You're not for sale. You're not for compromise. You're for God alone. And if your heart is beating fast, your spirit stirring, don't walk away without subscribing. Not to a channel, but to a flow of divine clarity that is being released here continuously. What's coming next is only for the fully aligned. You'll want to be part of it. You were born for this, but you must surrender for it. God is replacing the lukewarm. The hour is too late. The war too real, and the cost too high to tolerate spiritual indecision. Heaven is calling for the ones who will burn, not flicker, for the ones who tremble at his word, not manipulate it, for the ones who don't just know the truth, but live it. Chosen one, this is not a gentle reshuffling. This is a divine reordering. Thrones are being vacated. Mantles are being removed. Crowns are being lifted from the unfaithful and placed on the willing. This is the season where God is moving with surgical precision through his people, not to hurt, but to heal. His order. Too many have played with sacred things. They touched the oil but never honored it. They wore titles but never carried burden. They performed for man but never bowed before God. But heaven has watched long enough, and now the correction has begun. This is not the season to pretend. It is the season to repent or be replaced. And you were hidden for such a time as this. Your name wasn't on flyers. Your voice wasn't in pulpits. But your obedience was loud in heaven. Your surrender reached the throne room when no one was watching. While others were rehearsing performances, you were being refined in silence. This is why the weight you carry now feels so heavy. Because the crown is close. It's why you're waking up in the night. Why your spirit is unsettled around compromise. Because God is not just visiting you, He's marking you. You are part of the replacement order. You don't have to push your way into rooms. Heaven will open the doors, not because of your name, but because of your nature, the kind of nature that says, whatever it costs, I'll obey. The kind that still fears God in a world that mocks Him. God is removing those who spoke well but loved little, who built platforms but neglected presence, who hungered for applause but lost their appetite for the altar. And He is raising up those who simply said yes. Not the loud, but the loyal, not the polished, but the pure. The lukewarm cannot remain. They will be exposed, not by scandal, but by their own silence in the face of darkness, by their own coldness where fire is needed. God will not pour fresh oil on vessels that are half committed. This final hour requires full flame, and when God replaces, it's swift. One day Saul reigned. The next, the Spirit left him. One moment a name is trending. The next, their voice is silent. Not because God is cruel, but because God is holy, and He will not let compromise lead His people. Chosen one, your time is now. You are being summoned into the very places others were just removed from, not to imitate them, but to restore what they neglected. You won't walk in with flashy language. You'll walk in with weight. You'll carry heaven's agenda, not man's. And that is why you were preserved. You weren't the fastest, but you were faithful. You weren't the loudest, but you were aligned. And that is all God requires. Make no mistake, this is not just opportunity. It is holy transfer. Crowns are being reassigned. Mantles are hovering, waiting for those whose hands are clean and hearts are burning. The question isn't whether God will move. The question is, will you be ready when He does? This isn't the time to get distracted. This isn't the time to fall into comparison. The old system is falling. God is building a new. He's using voices from the wilderness, intercessors from obscurity, dreamers who prayed in silence, watchmen who cried behind closed doors. You are not rising by chance. You are rising by order. The lukewarm are fading, and the fiery ones are being revealed. And when the switch happens, there will be no warning, only a sudden revealing. Chosen one, if this word has found you standing in that secret place, if your soul has been burning in quiet surrender, if your life has been one long yes, then the mantle is near. Say it with your life. Say it with your fire. Say it with your fruit. You are part of the replacement, not because you fought for it, but because you were faithful when no one was looking. You are the enemy's worst case, not because of your strength, but because of your surrender. Hell's greatest fear was never a loud voice or a famous name. It was always the fully awakened, fully obedient, fully aligned chosen one who refused to die in their delay. That's who you are now. A living threat. You were underestimated. Darkness thought the trauma would take you out. It assumed the betrayal would silence you. It believed the cycles would break you. But instead, you broke the cycles. Instead, you turned the betrayal into deeper discernment. Instead, you emerged, not weaker, but wiser, not silent, but sharpened. Hell watched you cry, but it didn't know you were being refined. It saw your confusion, but it didn't see your root system growing deeper in God. It launched every tactic it had: fear, delay, distraction, depression, and nothing worked. Because you are not just a survivor, you are now a sent one. That's the part the enemy couldn't predict. That everything meant to bury you became the very soil that strengthened your roots. That the very lies whispered against you became fuel for the fire you now carry. Your light is not soft. It's disruptive. It's dangerous. Because it's born from real war, not rehearsed words. This is why you've always felt out of place. You've been marked by something too heavy to explain. Your mere presence makes people uncomfortable if they've built their peace on illusions. You walk in, and things shift. Not because you say anything, but because you carry authority that can't be faked. And now the enemy knows it's too late. Too late to silence you. Too late to derail you. Too late to distract you with counterfeit comfort. You've already seen too much. You've heard heaven's whisper too clearly. You've counted the cost and said, "Still, I'll go." You are not the same person who was wandering months ago. You are not the same soul who doubted last year. Something shifted in you. A final tear fell. A final decision was made. And in that moment, the heavens took note, and so did hell. The warfare you felt recently, it's not a setback. It's a response. Hell is panicking because it realizes you're no longer trying to be free. You are free. You're no longer surviving. You're executing. You're no longer wondering if you're chosen. You've accepted the call. You carry a frequency now, a spiritual resonance that disrupts old altars, a boldness that shakes systems. When you speak, it doesn't just comfort, it confronts. When you move, it doesn't just progress, it pierces. You've become the very thing darkness hoped would never rise. And not by accident, but by fire, by crushing, by breaking, and by choosing obedience when no one else saw the cost. That's what makes you unstoppable, not your gifting, but your grit. Not your anointing, but your availability. You walk with an awareness now. Every day is intentional. Every moment is kingdom. There is no more time to entertain distractions. No more space for lukewarm cycles. No more tolerance for environments that choke your purpose. You know who you are now. You know why you're here. You're not chasing favor. You've become the evidence of it. You don't need applause. You have assignment. You don't need clarity for every step, because your spirit already recognizes the path by its weight. Chosen one. You are what hell hoped would never happen. Surrendered, unwavering, fully aware, spirit-led weapon in the hands of God. This is why the resistance has increased. This is why the voices around you seem louder. Not because you're losing, but because you're about to unlock something massive. And darkness knows it. So keep moving. Keep standing. Keep listening to the whisper. Because every step you take now is shaking things in places you cannot yet see. The shift isn't coming, it's already begun. And you are leading it. You've become the nightmare of every spirit that tried to destroy you. You are the enemy's worst case. The marked ones now rise. This is the moment creation has been groaning for. The unveiling, the summoning, the revelation of those heaven has hidden, trained, refined. Now, stepping out, not with noise, but with weight. And you, chosen one, are among them. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, but now. You didn't ask for this, yet you were always made for it. You didn't pursue a title, yet the mantle found you. While others were scrambling for stages, heaven was sealing your spirit in secret. While the world was applauding talent, God was cultivating trust. Trust in your response, trust in your resilience, trust in your quiet. Lagan 53. Unwavering, yes. You've been prepared in pain, matured in waiting, tested in the shadows, and now you rise not to be seen, but to be sent. The marked ones are not here to impress. They are here to intervene. This world has grown cold. Lukewarm faith has flooded altars. False light has saturated the culture. But the real ones, the marked ones, are coming forward like a storm. Heaven has kept reserved for the final hour. You are heaven's strategy, a walking contradiction to the patterns of this world. Your presence will provoke repentance. Your words will release freedom. Your silence will carry conviction. You were not trained to compete. You were trained to consecrate. The oil on your life cannot be copied. The cost cannot be calculated. And the authority you now walk in, it was not given by man. It was transferred from the throne itself. The marked ones are arising in every nation, in every industry, from pulpits and prisons, from street corners and secret places. Some are young in age but ancient in wisdom. Others are scarred but sacred. All are fearless, not because they feel no fear, but because they fear only God. This is not a moment of motivation. This is a moment of mobilization. Heaven is dispatching its hidden army. No longer will purity be mocked. No longer will compromise lead. No longer will the bold be silenced by the familiar. You were never called to fit in. You were called to ignite. And you will. In conversations that seem casual, your voice will shift atmospheres. In meetings that feel mundane, your discernment will expose hidden schemes. In places that once felt impossible, your presence will usher the impossible into motion. Because you carry what systems cannot simulate, the spirit of the living God. You've already felt the shift inside. The old desires fading. The need to explain yourself gone. The longing for applause replaced with fire. That's because the mark is awakening. Your true identity is surfacing. Not the version you curated, but the one God crafted. Do not apologize for your difference. Do not water down your wisdom to make others comfortable. The marked ones have never belonged in the crowd. You were always meant to lead it, not with manipulation, but with presence. Not with noise, but with divine knowing. You will move in power that doesn't make sense. People will wonder how you have authority with no credentials, how you carry influence with no endorsement. And they won't understand, because what you walk in isn't from earth, it's from eternity. The enemy will try to distract. He'll whisper lies to shrink your voice. He'll try to resurrect old chains, old mindsets. But it won't work this time. You've changed. You've crossed over. The weight on you now is greater than the wounds behind you. This is the revealing, the beginning of the remnant's roar. The marked ones are not coming, they're here. And their rise signals a new reality. The time of playing small is over. The time of pleasing man is over. The time of sitting silent while darkness spreads is over. Now you will speak. Now you will walk. Now you will confront with kindness and war with wisdom. Now you will not flinch when giants rise, because you've seen the inside of the cave, and you didn't die there. You were refined there. And now the cave becomes your testimony. Chosen one. You are not part of a crowd. You are part of a company. The marked ones, called before time, chosen through fire, sent in love, and now revealed in power. Heaven is not waiting. Earth is not ready. But you are. The marked ones rise. And so, beloved chosen one, this is your hour. The scroll has been read. The gates have opened. The time has come. There is no more delay. What you carry cannot sit dormant another day. Heaven is sounding the alarm, not in fear, but in future expectation. And the earth is responding. You were never an accident. You were never insignificant. You were hand-picked, hand-forged, hand-sent. Not because you were flawless, but because you were faithful. The seal upon you is unshakable. The purpose within you is unstoppable. You've walked through too much to go silent now. You've seen too much to pretend now. You are not just rising, you are returning to your original design, to your divine assignment, to the you that God always saw. And this time, you won't shrink. You won't hesitate. You won't hold back your voice or your vision. So if this message stirred something deep within, if your spirit whispered, "This is me," like this video, so others like you can find their call. Share it with one more warrior still waiting to hear the sound. Subscribe if you haven't already. This flow isn't ending here. What's coming next is weightier. And if you feel led to support, whether in prayer, words, or generosity, know that every seed helps carry these messages further, wider, deeper. No pressure, just alignment. If it blessed you, consider being part of how it blesses someone else next. Now, lift your head, walk boldly, speak clearly, love fiercely, lead humbly. You are not just chosen, you are commissioned. And the next chapter will be written by your obedience,